This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pornian Bakery. If you're located in the Pornian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pornian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, cool. You know what's interesting? I didn't even realize that it was the Super Bowl weekend until my sister was like, Last of Us isn't airing on Sunday. And I was like, oh, what, why?
Okay.
So why? You have a different reason for that?
No, that is the reason.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So I didn't even know.
But it depends on like, which one you have.
Crave or...
HBO Max or it's just HBO. If you have just like HBO, like the channel, I think that's just on Sunday. HBO Max people, or for us, because we're like, HBO Max means they're just like online content, like streaming. So they'll get it on Friday.
Oh, okay. But still, if you have like the regular channel, they'll put that on
It's
Sunday.
on Sunday, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, that sucks for them because then like major spoilers have just been coming out like usually after every episode. They'll like
I haven't seen it yet.
So. Oh, it's it's a good one. Man, let's just talk about Last of Us. What do you like? Do you think it's still holding up? I felt like do you see last week's episode?
Yes.
Okay, I felt like that dipped a bit in storyline.
Yeah,
but then it came back up.
Yeah, so what I heard was this was from I forgot the comedian. He loves Last of Us. So like that episode, actually, it's the same director as the one that you just watched that came out on Friday. It's supposed to be the full length episode, so they cut it in half.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then.
It's like a part 1, part 2 kind of thing.
That makes more sense because the first one I was like, oh, this kind of just ended like.
Yeah. So it wasn't. Yeah. It was filmed a whole length, like a whole movie length almost.
Oh, that's cool. Wow. Oh, that's cool. That makes way more sense. I wonder what you're going to think of this week's episode. I forgot that, they do that because it's like TV shows, so they don't have the same director for every single episode.
Yeah.
I'm saying like they did that for Game of Thrones, right? They just kept, what do you call that? Like switching directors per episode.
Mm-hmm.
So each episode was like a unique take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's still holding up. You made me feel better about last week's episode because I was like, oh no, is it all going to be boring like this? Not boring, but like, you know what I mean? It felt
there wasn't any like anything big happening.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Right? So I was like,
I think that's because it was cut because it was a full length episode that was filmed, including right. So it's supposed to be like a whole like the other ones were like an hour and 20 minutes, right? Some of these episodes. Yeah. So like it would have been like that, but then they cut it into half. Yeah.
Well, how long was last week's episode? I thought they were all like an hour.
No, the last week was about, I would say like 45 to 50 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But like the ones before that were like an hour and 20.
Yeah, but why'd they cut it then? Just like...
I think they just wanted more. I think it would have been longer than an hour and 20. Because this one was probably an hour. So it's like almost 2 hours.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because the story finally finished in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like we played the game, so we know what's going to happen. So I was wondering how it was going to play out. Okay, that makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if like it's interesting playing the game and then watching the movie or the show because you understand where it's going, but the path that they lead you to get there is totally different.
It's changing.
So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can still enjoy it without knowing exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
Like, like the main points stay the same.
The main points are staying the same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the main points stay the same. Like even like what do you think of Bill's episode? Because that was a standalone.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so my sister asked me, she's like, is that um did that actually happen in the game? And then I was like, no, it was like totally different in the game. But it made more sense
Yeah,
playing it out like that in the show. Because like in
like
the
these
game,
characters are in the game. Bill and Frank are mentioned in the game.
but in the game, you actually know, don't you meet like Bill? You
You
meet
only
Bill,
meet
right?
Bill.
Remember
You
he's
only
like,
meet Bill. Yeah.
yeah, right, right, right. So it makes more sense the way it played out here because when you met Bill, you didn't really get the full context of like, his
It
relationship.
was like a side tangent. Like when that happened. Like do you remember in the game? It was like they walk into a room and they saw like a body like hanging. I don't know if you remember that.
No,
So
it's been a while.
that was when Bill. Uh,
Was going crazy.
no, not like he knew who he was. He said, "Oh, that's Frank." And who's that? Like it was my partner. Like he said that in the
Oh,
game.
interesting.
So they just gave him more of a story to Bill and Frank in the show.
Right, exactly, exactly. It like they fleshed out the characters more
Hmm.
in the show,
Yeah.
and I like that. That episode was so good. I was shocked because like the way they did it was so universal in its love that it didn't make it like. Remember we were having
I
that
think that's why it
you
was
know?
very interesting. That's why it was very
Mm.
interesting because I see like a lot of people. Oh, is going in. We're going in to watch a zombie show. This
Right,
whole
right, right,
episode was
right.
about a gay couple.
Totally, totally. And but remember, like with Disney, we're like, oh, how come they're like really shoving it down our throats? But this one was not shoving it down our throats. It's just like, okay, yeah, that's just what it is,
Yeah.
you know. Which actually, it's going to lead into actually, let's just lead into that topic right now. Now that we have that great segue, but I was I was thinking about this a lot recently. Like you saw, you people, I saw the full thing, but you're like halfway through
Yeah.
ish,
Yeah.
and I wasn't gonna watch it. My sister was like telling me, this is a really good movie, and then some like diversity stuff was going on, and then this other person told me watch the movie. So I was like, okay, I didn't know it was about that, right?
It's a lot of mixed. It's very mixed about this movie, at least what I've seen online.
Okay, so I didn't look at we looked at the online reviews after the fact.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the
Just look.
reviews. I'm saying like
Oh, so
the
then what do
people's
you mean?
responses to the movie on TikTok and stuff.
But that's what I mean. I was like, I'm ignoring it. Like I didn't look at any of that. I just watched it first, and then we started looking at that stuff,
Hmm.
and it almost seemed like people were like upset by it. Like from what I saw, they were
Well,
like
what
they were
were they
saying
upset
that
about? Maybe
like
that's
they're like, oh, it's too overly swung one way. They made these stereotypes too ridiculous. Jonah Hill was trying to prove a specific point, but he made it unrealistic. And I'm like, these are not unrealistic scenarios. These are the things you're talking about, the topics of like racism, being like the underscore of racism. Like like nobody wants to be racist, right? But even in the way that you're approaching your non-racism is coming off as racist.
hmm
Which is what the movie was trying to point out
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And but people, the reaction online, it got like 5 or something like that on IMDb, like super low. And when we were reading the comments, it was just like people didn't want to see it. But I wonder whose perspective that was, who was writing those comments.
Hmm.
And I say that because um, I was doing this, like I was like asking your guys' opinion about this campaign I was creating, right? And I noticed that like BIPOC individuals were like totally cool with the campaign, but then it was the non-BIPOC people that were like, why, like they were like offended on behalf of BIPOC people. And I was like, that's weird because we thought it was cool, but you find it offensive. But
Hmm.
why do you find it offensive when we don't find it offensive?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
And it like the you people reminded me of that. Did you get to the spa scene?
No,
Oh,
they
okay,
were.
okay,
I think the
okay.
only place where it ended was like where the parents just met and they were talking about Louis Farrakhan, and that's kind of where
Oh,
it
okay,
stopped.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this spa scene that happens. So basically, she takes her new daughter-in-law to the spa. Okay, and then so this girl, so they're like, "Oh, one moment, please," and then the mom is like, "Oh, why are you being so rude? I'm so sorry they're so rude here." And then the girl, like the fiance, who's black, she was like confused, like, "I no, it's fine, totally fine." And then somebody walked up and was like, "Hey," and then the front desk person let them in. And then the mom was like made this whole thing like, just because she's black, you're gonna treat us this way. I don't appreciate this racism. And then the front desk person was confused, and then it turned out the person that she let through worked at the place,
Hmm.
and that's why she let her through. And then the fiance was like, "Let's just go," because like now this is weird.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like that. It's like the fiance didn't find it offensive. She's like, "What? I don't understand. What racism are you seeing?" But then the mom was like, this injustice, and it turned out to be like a miscommunication or a misunderstanding.
yeah. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of like that. It's like, how can two different perspectives perceive one thing? Like the campaign I created, two different ways, but it was meant for the BIPOC individuals.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, I feel like that's what's really going on right now, like as a whole in society. It's like this confusion of like, which side do we support?
Hmm.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like even this like idea of the allyship,
yeah.
it's like, why do you need to be an ally? Why do I need what fight are we fighting?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's a thing now, I'm an ally. It's like, that's just like demeaning. It makes it sound like I need your help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Right? I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like racism on that level, but you don't want to seem racist.
Hmm.
Do you agree? Or like you see my point?
Yeah, yeah. I see your point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about that? Like, I don't know.
Um, I mean, I don't really see it a lot in my worldview, right?
Fair. Okay, true. But like online, like,
Online, like what I saw about this movie was mainly not. It was not white people that were mentioning about the movie. It was mainly BIPOC people.
okay, and what were they saying?
That I think they were coming from the other side, where like the dad is
Just,
too much that way
oh, okay, yeah.
versus the Jewish parents. But
No, but I think they wanted to show like the
I think
extremes.
I think they're just showing. That's exactly right. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like that's what I got. It's just a movie. It's they're just showing the extremes and meeting those two in between. Like that's what they were
Yeah,
trying to do.
they can't make a medium character, and then you're like, well, what's the
That's why
problem
I didn't
here?
understand. It's like I saw like what people were saying, but I was like, that's not what the movie's talking about. Right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's just a
It's
deeper,
it was trying to add humor to this kind of scenario,
for
right?
sure, for
To the
sure.
both
Yeah,
sides of extremes.
yeah, right, exactly. And I think Jonah Hill really like knocked it out of the park with this one because he was able to touch on so many different stereotypical aspects that it's hard to explain, but you see it,
Hmm.
But he did a really great job of like making people witness these stereotypes through
Right.
the movie,
Hmm.
you know? Um, yeah. I really liked also, this is just like a side note, it's not really related to like racism or whatever, but I like how he put real hip hop in there. You could tell he's an actual hip hop fan
Hmm.
because like the songs he chose, like even the clothing styles and like the slang he was using, it's like, "Yeah, this is the real you, Jonah Hill. Like this is who you want to present yourself to the world as this like cool, cultured individual, you know? Yeah. Because we think of him like super bad, like that guy from super bad. You know what I mean? Like or like Moneyball, like from all of his other roles that he
Yeah, yeah,
plays.
yeah. Well, maybe he's all of those, right? Like he's.
No, no, no. I watch all of his interviews. He's like, this is the closest
Oh, really?
to
Okay.
him. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because like, he got into jujitsu, so I was like, I started watching like his interviews. Like, what are you talking about?
Hmm.
And yeah, he's the way he is in this movie is how he is in real life.
Okay. Okay. Did he
Yeah.
make the movie or produce the movie
He
or?
wrote, he wrote, he wrote the movie, produced the movie. It's
Okay.
his Strong Baby is his production company.
Okay. Mm.
But yeah, yeah, he did really well with this. And the other thing that I saw was um a reel. I saw two reels. One was this guy asked this Indian dude, like, I'll give you $20 if you act black. And
Mhm.
the Indian dude was like confused. And he's like, no, like, I'll give you $20 if you act black. And the Indian dude was like, it almost like he didn't hear him. But then he's like, wait, I don't understand. Like, what would that, like, how would I even act that way? And then the person asking him, like, I'll give you $20 if you act black. He's like, just like do like mannerisms that you think black people do. And he's like, but that would just be like asking me like act like a person because we're all just people. Like they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I was thinking of it because okay, so like DEI stuff is like a huge part of my work, right? And I was like, how do we get rid of like how do we make everyone on an even playing field? Right. Like how do you make everyone super inclusive? The only way to do it is to drop all the labels and just see us as all as people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like it's like I don't need to like that one scene where Jonah Hill introduced his fiance to his mom and dad, and then he was like, "You're not talking to her like my fiance. You're talking to her like a black girl."
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, "Yes, exactly. You're like putting them in this box."
Mm-hmm.
You know. And then Morgan Freeman also did the 60 Minutes thing. I saw it as like a reel. He's like, the interviewer asked, "How do you stop racism?" He's like, "Just stop talking about it." And then the interviewer is confused, and he's like, I just won't think of you as a black man. I'll think of you as this."
Mm-hmm.
Or like, no, don't think of me as black man. Think of me as Morgan Freeman. I won't think of you as a white man. I'll think of you as like your name.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like even with
And
you know,
that was
like,
an old interview too. That was like
it was an old interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people thought it was just like, what is he saying? But it's just so ahead of his time.
Yeah.
You know? And even talking to other people about this concept, right? They're like, oh, this is more philosophical. Because I was trying to provide my point of view, you know, about like no labels and like we all come with stories that we tell ourselves and like the story becomes what you're going to believe going forward.
Yeah.
And the one person was like, this is really philosophical. I didn't know it was a like they're like, this is too philosophical for me, essentially.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, but this is a philosophical discussion. Like racism is a philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing that we can just like, if we just follow all these steps, we won't be racist. It's like, no, it's like, what is your outlook? You know?
Yeah. It's a very interesting, funny thing too. I saw like a Irish comedian that was like he's how did he say? It was like once you come to America, it's like I didn't know this, but I had to, or people were like pushing an identity on me, like
Yes.
like I'm supposed to feel guilty about what the white people did. Ireland. I'm from Ireland, right? I pick my own potatoes. Like
yeah,
exactly.
Like, yeah. But I wonder if it is I really do wonder if it is like a Western concept. But when I say Western, maybe it's not even Western. Maybe it's like okay, here we're gonna go backwards. I think it's a Western concept. But what is Western? Colonial. What is colonial? Based on religion. I think at the root cause of it, it's like a religious concept. Bear with me. So like one person was arguing about capitalism, like with me, and I was like, okay, well the only other option is communism, right? But before we even discuss capitalism and communism, what is commerce, right? Like, because that's what we're just like. Capitalism and communism are just structures of commerce. So what is commerce? And then they were like, okay, so it's like any interaction between, basically I distilled what they were saying is like, it's any interaction between two people. So if I ask you to do something and then you give something back in return, right? Like, oh, can you water my plants? Sure. Do you mind doing this? If I do that, right? That's a commercial interaction. So the only way to organize the whole thing is either by sharing everything or making it like every man for himself.
Right.
Right. So if we share everything, like there's so many pitfalls, and they're like, yeah, I'm not a communist. So I'm like, so by default, you're a capitalist.
Yeah.
So why are you angry? There's literally only two ways we can do this, you know? And yeah, it was just funny. Like you didn't think of it on that level. I feel like we need to keep drilling down to the root cause, and then from there, a lot of things will just be solved. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you arguing for capitalism? We went through the whole brain exercise, and you're like, oh, it turns out you're a pro-capitalist, but you didn't do the exercise. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like things like, what is sin? What is evil? Don't do this. That's like a very like religious Catholic Christian concept. And Catholic Christian is what fueled colonialism. That's why they went out, right? Like you have dominion over nature. So they went out and just like slaughtered everyone because like, oh, this is ours because God told us we can have it.
Yeah.
And which is where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But they're saying in different religions around the world, they share things. I'm like, yeah, because there's only one religion says you own everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just some thoughts. Yeah, like I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if those are the things that were drilled down on, like when you're kids, you build up these things when you're kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, you think like there's only
I'm very sure
good,
well,
like good and evil.
I'll probably fix it. All right, cool.
Oh.
It was like confused with the light. Yeah, go ahead.
There's like good and evil, or like,
Yeah.
but it's like it's a lot of things are gray areas. Like it's not
Right,
black and
exactly.
white. It's not black and white.
You know what's trippy? I was having this other philosophical conversation.
Like I just want to add,
Yeah.
like, if you grew up in a concept of no hell, like
Yeah, exactly.
without hell or ever thinking about hell, then it's you
Then it
live
makes no sense. It's like, yeah, why are you placing in a box good and bad? You know, which is like if we look at so um, religion spurred colonialism, colonialism spurred capitalism, or like commerce, right? Where we are today, capitalism, and then now we're adding more boxes of like identification states. But if you had no good and evil concept like the heaven and hell as a foundation, then everything would just be normal. It's like I don't need to categorize you as this, that, or the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's just making more problems.
I think that's making
you know?
more problems. Yeah.
And even in the solution, we're categorizing more, right? It's like, okay, the solution to non-inclusivity is to just like state everything about yourself. But it's like now I have to state everything about myself. It's like
right.
that's just more boxes.
Anything exactly. And if I've missed anything, and then I've offended you, like
Yeah, right, yeah, yeah. It's crazy to me.
which is just going to cause more problems, right? I
Yeah.
don't think that's. I think it's a very liberal leftist, or very leftist viewpoint. I don't feel like it's everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a very like progressive thing. We want to be like in the future now, but like the fastest way to do that is to drop everything.
Mm-hmm. I think I heard it on the radio too. It's called like virtue signaling, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, the guy
That
was
is it. Yeah.
like,
that's why the ally word. I'm so confused. Like,
Yeah.
why do I need an ally? Why are we fighting? Who are we fighting? You know, like, go ahead. Yeah.
No, it was like some guy called in and was. I think they were talking about like something about removing "Oh Canada,"
Okay.
but it's like,
Interesting.
oh, you're in this country though, right? And the caller was saying like it's not coming from people of people of color, like us coming from like me coming from India or Philippines or whatever, right? We came to Canada for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not, and it's so that's he was saying that it's a lot of these white liberals that were saying this.
Yeah.
When it's more like we don't have an issue with it.
100. All right. You know what's really funny? I was talking to somebody about. I was talking to a new Canadian to a new Canadian, and they were saying that like they have no time for this kind of like this like discussion. It's like, why are we wasting our time discussing this? And I was like, it's interesting because in this hyper inclusive pursuit, right, you're not considering all cultures here, because I was saying in my culture it's kind of weird to be like, this is who I am and this is my sexual preference. It's like we don't really say that.
Yeah,
like I don't just go around being like, hey guys, I'm straight. Like that's cool. Like if you literally walked up to us and were like, hey, I'm straight, we'd be like, cool. It's like it's a weird thing.
You know what? I think it's like it's also in the dating apps too. Like you're putting your whole information out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Like now it's just trying to be put into normal society. like you want to have this label continuously shown.
Yeah,
as the first thing. Totally. But there's more to me than that.
Right. So what I said to this person is like, in Asian cultures, it's more about a meritocracy. It's like, what have you done?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I find as I like look at other people's backgrounds, I'm like, oh, to get to this job, like you go to school, right? Like let's say marketing, for example. So this is the highest marketing position, like the leader of the marketing team for your company, right? So you go to school being like, I'm going to take marketing so I can get to this position.
Mm-hmm.
Makes logical sense,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if I want to be the head of marketing, I probably should study marketing
Mm-hmm.
to become the head. Okay. What I'm finding out now is that a lot of people in these high positions did not start with that educational background.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a meritocracy. It's more like, oh, I have like the experience, I have this connection, I can sell myself in this way, I have this education. Like, no, like totally, yeah, maybe you got there through your experience, but the path they told us to take is not the path you actually get to getting that job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the reason why labels and stuff are so important because it's not actually about your work. It's not about your meritocracy,
It depends on
right?
which field you're in, I think. Right.
Okay, fair. You're thinking about like engineering. Well, because you can't fake that. That's like
Yeah,
you
that's what I'm
either know
saying.
it or you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
But I mean like more in because what rules the world? Commerce,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can't. So everyone's like, like, oh, I want to be an engineer, but it's like if you have no money, you can't make the product. So at the end of the day, you need the money. But in these high paid positions for like moving money,
Mm-hmm.
some people don't even have that education.
Yeah. 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 I think
And it's confusing.
it depends on where you're in. Like I feel like it's a really field oriented kind of thing.
Yeah, fair, fair, fair. No, totally, totally, totally. But that as an example, isn't it interesting that it's more about who you are? And I think
Yeah,
that's why it's
there's a lot of
important.
that times that happens where it's based on who you know,
Yeah,
and
but that explains the like identification state.
yeah.
If I just play ball, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'll tell you my preference. I'll tell you my identity. You're playing ball. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You can rank up. But if it's like if you don't want to play ball, but you just want your work to speak for itself, it's like, well, that's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Like I'm really good at this, but I don't want to play this game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But why would that be? I just don't like. Well, actually, maybe it just goes back to the religion thing because Western society is based off of Christian religion. Because being gay was not cool in Christian religion, right? But like, if you look at the history of transgenders, like where did they go? They
Mm-hmm.
went to Asia to transition and be accepted. So that's my point to the new Canadian. I was like, in our culture, it's like, okay, cool, you want to be that, you could be that,
Yeah.
like ties are totally cool with it too. I mean, like we might have a different feeling towards you because it's like it's a little weird, but like we're not gonna accept you,
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like here there's a huge culture of non-acceptance if you don't fit into a thing, you know.
Right.
And then I started thinking maybe it's a small town versus a big city thing.
It can be that. Yeah, it can be. It all depends on how it's all in how many people, like who you meet, who you talk to, right? If your group of
Right.
friends is only
Okay. Yes. Okay. So totally. And I wonder if this like strong stance against like racism and inclusion is more so felt in other parts of the country versus like someplace like Toronto. We do have it. We do have racism. We do have like non-inclusivity. I won't deny that. But I was like, there's like two moments this past weekend, and I was like, no, we are hyper inclusive. I was at Pizza picking up a pizza. Okay, there was a Korean dude who just obviously he's not from Canada. He had an accent and he was speaking Korean. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the person working there was Indian. And then a couple came in, a black couple and a Spanish, like a black dude and a Spanish girl. And then I was there, Filipino, waiting for my pizza. I was
mhm.
like looking around. I'm like, look at this diversity. If
Yeah.
anybody here was racist, we'd be like confused. We're like, racist to what, bro? Like, we're all different.
Yeah.
You couldn't play that game of racism
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. But if you lived in like a predominantly white area and you were the only black dude, of course you're going to feel racism. You're going to feel singled out,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, interaction, who you surround yourself with totally has a lot to do with like your understanding of race.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like I'm using their identification as a marker for how to interact with them. Like, oh, he's Korean. All right, cool. He speaks Korean. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, he's a Korean male putting you in a box. It's more like,
No, no, no.
oh,
Yeah,
like you're that.
yeah,
Cool. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like we don't need to point it out. Like do I get like in the future if this gets too crazy, the liberal agenda, am I gonna have like a Filipino flag on my sure we're all gonna have like little flags or something to identify where we've come from? You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Is that where it's going? You know, why can't we just accept that? Like, okay, sounds
I,
like
I
you're from
I
Korea, bro.
think yeah. I think in general, I feel society just swings back and forth. If it's going too far one way, it reacts another way. It
For
reacts in
sure,
the
for
opposite
sure.
way. Yeah.
For sure. And I feel like we're heading way too far in the hyper inclusive space. I'm like,
Hmm.
it's almost like too TMI. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
give me too much information, bro. I
Yeah.
don't need to know that about you.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. Cause then that also skews you, you know, like I was interacting with this dude and then it like I so happened to find out that he was gay. And I was like, oh, okay, that changed my perception of him. But I didn't like treat him any differently. I was like, oh, that's cool, you know?
Right.
But like, I didn't need to know that. I just looked at you as a person.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
didn't need to know your preference,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so the first one was pizza. And then I was also at jujitsu. And then it like blew my mind because like we have different cultures at jujitsu, but we're all learning one thing,
Hmm.
right? And then I realized like, martial arts really equalizes everything because you're not seeing a skin color or a sexual orientation. I'm looking at you as like, can I train with you or not?
Right.
Like, will you hurt me? Will you not? Will you be a
Hmm.
good training partner? Will you not be? You know, we're looking at it more like skill based meritocracy
Yeah.
again versus like it wouldn't like he's like, hey, I'm like a cisgendered he. I'd be like, cool, I'm still gonna choke you out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
can you defend this choke or not? Like,
Right.
why are you telling me this right now?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I think like martial arts really is the great equalizer in that way because we're like, I really don't care. I
Uh,
just need, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I was
are
trying to
you a
relate it
threat or
to.
not a
Yeah, yeah,
threat?
yeah. That's why I was trying to relate it to like the whole the dating apps and stuff, right? Like saying cisgender, it's like why do I need to know that? Are we having a relationship? Like do I like you know what I
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. TMI, bro. Like,
mean?
I don't need to know that, bro.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. Yeah, I don't know. This has just been boggling my mind a lot recently because I'm just like, it's like,
Like
why do you need to know?
the funniest thing recently was I don't know if you mentioned this, but like the Harry Potter game came out, right? Or the
Oh
Hogwarts
yeah,
game.
okay, you're saying, and then she's transphobic or something.
Yeah, if you're buying that. But it caused a lot of it's like that's where the divide happened, where it's like people that
Mhm.
were like, no, we're not against trans people, but we like the game. What are you like? It's just a game.
Totally,
It's
totally, totally. Okay,
like you
this is a
in the
great.
game.
Yeah,
You in the game you can create a transgender person. I don't understand. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so it
It's
was
like
like it
it's just
became
art,
like
bro.
exactly yeah, and that I think like that was like where it was kind of showing like people were viewing it like no, this is going too far,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
true.
So it's like this is I feel like that's what I'm saying. It's like where the left has gone too far, or this is one of them.
Where we're gonna need to like catch. We're gonna need to rebalance
Yeah,
ourselves soon.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, this brings up a great question about art. It's like, so Kanye West now, you know, I would say he's saying some very racial things, and a lot of people are very adverse to it. But why do we still like his music?
Hmm.
Like, if you listen to his music, are you now anti-Semitic?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, but it was a good track.
Hmm.
He's made a lot of good tracks. Like, can we separate art and the individual?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just like the Harry Potter thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a good game.
Yeah.
Like we're overcomplicating the situation. Yeah. All right. Another thing that I thought was pretty interesting that I was having this chat about, uh, chatting with these other people about was the idea of death, like killing, right? So this one person was like, I'm a nihilistic optimist. Okay. I'm like, oh
Okay.
no, that's cool. Like I get it. Like, everything means nothing. Right. And you just hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Like that's a very, like high level thought process. And they're like, what do you believe? And I was like, I believe we believe whatever story we tell ourselves, And they're like, what? I was like, even this nihilistic optimist, you think it's the highest point, but you believe it's the highest point.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's just whatever you're reinforcing, right? And then I was like, it's like killing, And they're like, yeah, killing's bad. I'm like, no, killing's good. And then they're like, what? Like, okay, so herbal's cool with killing. I'm like, no, like, why do you have armies?
Yeah.
What's keeping us safe right now?
Mm-hmm.
So we need them to kill other people.
Yeah.
If we don't have them killing other people, chances are other people will take over our resources.
Yeah. It's like you can easily bring up Ukraine situation. Like that's
right. Yeah. So you need to fight back. Like killing is good in that situation. But that blue like, what? Like, yeah. I was like, just think about it. There's a good and bad to everything. But we just don't. We get so stuck in our way of this is good and this is will always be good, But it's like maybe that's not actually good.
Yeah.
No, it's not fully good. Like maybe there's nothing that's fully good. Even like believing that everything is a story. It's like, oh, that sounds really good. Like it makes sense. But then it makes you go crazy because you're like, wait, then is everything a lie? You can go down that rabbit hole. There's good and bad to everything. Yeah. But I feel like these like deep like identification states, like inclusivity, all these things are deep philosophical discussions, but nobody's seeing it as a philosophical discussion. They're looking at it as like a binary, did you do this? Did you not do this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. There's this one funny moment when this other person identified as a they. For safety, I just use their name. I'm just like, it's just like blah 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 did this, blah 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 did that, right? I don't want to like assume. It just keeps you safe, right? But the person said like she, and then they caught themselves midway through. They're like she, they, and I was like, yeah, see how awkward that is?
Yeah.
That's really awkward. You really put it out there. But again, why can't we just see people as people? Like Morgan Freeman said, it's like, I'm not a black man. I'm Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're not a they, bro. You're blah blah blah. Whatever your name was. I don't remember the name. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if this is the solution. Just what the solution is? Respect and seeing a person as a person.
Yeah.
When you see a person as a person, you just respect them. Like, all right, cool. Because then where do you draw the line? This is my thought, right? If I was so inclined, right? I grew up watching anime. If I was so inclined, I grew up watching anime. I love Dragon Ball Z. The reason why I'm so like cavalier with my martial arts training is because I believe I'm a Saiyan. I just like tell myself like, no, like this is what Saiyans do, bro. But I don't tell the world, hey guys, I'm a Saiyan. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just me. It's a story I tell myself.
Right.
But if I was so inclined, I could be like, no, bro, I identify as a Saiyan.
Yeah.
Write this down. But it's like, but then where do you draw the line? They're like, Marvel's a little wild. What's going on? Why is he writing Saiyan as his gender or his like ethnicity now? It's not real. Like, who are you to tell me it's not real? And this is the problem we have. It's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
But okay, but you know what's crazy when people like, if I were to say that, they're like, well, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just using this as a wild example. You know that you're not a Saiyan. But it's like, okay, so are we dealing with mental issues now? Because what if I didn't? No, but really though, right? What if I didn't know? What if I truly believed I was a Saiyan? Would you let me do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
But I can self-regulate. I'm like, no, that was created as an anime. It's not real. Like, I won't go around telling people that my ethnicity is Super Saiyan.
Right.
You see the mind-boggling like paradox, bro. Because where do you draw the line? That's really my question. I don't know. What do you think? Like, where do you draw the line?
No, there won't be. It'll keep
Yeah.
expanding.
Yeah. Right. And then it's like, until maybe that's what's going to happen. We just keep expanding the box to the point where we're just like,
This is just
okay,
getting
everything's
ridiculous.
included,
Yeah,
or they're just like everything's included.
I think
Let's not,
so. Yeah, eventually, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like soon they'll be like, all right, you know what? Just don't even say anything. Just tell me your name. And it's like, but that's what we were trying to do in the beginning.
But it's gonna get to that. Probably will get to that point because if you add too many categories, too many things, it's like I'm not gonna remember all that. Each
It's
person,
like,
I'm not gonna. How am I remember every single person having all these things?
just remember your
The
goddamn
simple
name,
thing
bro.
is just I can remember your name.
Exactly. And this is what Morgan Freeman was trying to say. It's like, stop putting me in all these boxes.
Yeah.
Just, I'm a person.
Hmm.
That's so true, actually. Yeah. I saw this really funny comedy sketch, and um, she was like, she was indigenous, so technically, comedy's tough because it's like, if I'm a Filipino comedian making fun of Filipino people, why is that okay and not racist?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, but you're Filipino, so you can make fun of yourself. But if a white dude's making fun of Filipino people, it's like, whoa, too far, bro. You know, that's confusing.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, this sketch comedy was with this indigenous actress. It's the girl from Prey. So
Okay.
she was in this comedian thing. She's doing this like funny thing, and she did this like land acknowledgement and identification state thing, and it was just so long and so ridiculous that like I couldn't stop laughing. I had to reshare it. I'm like, because she gets the joke.
Yeah.
She as an indigenous person realizes how funny this has become.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
saw another one with like an indigenous person also making a joke about that. It's like, oh, it's cool that everybody's saying land acknowledgements now, and it's just going to become more like a marketing thing where like Target will have a land acknowledgement, and then they'll have a sale of something. It's like, oh, cool, I got a sale. It's like,
that's true. Yeah, it's becoming so.
like it's going to become
Yeah.
marketized or whatever the word is.
Yeah. No, for sure. And then it'll help put you in a specific category so that people will want to buy from you now.
Hmm.
Because you're like, oh, the person's
Yeah, that's what
that
they did.
company
That's
is
what they did
cheaper.
with
Yeah.
like the whole rainbow flag during
Yeah,
Pride,
totally.
right?
Yeah,
All the um, like companies got involved in that, right? It's like,
yeah. You know what's funny about that? There's the employees know.
mhm,
Okay. So one thing that has escalated because of those things is when they noticed companies were just doing that for marketing purposes, then a new thing has become, yeah, we can do it at face value, but if there's no internal change, then you're just doing it for marketing, right?
mhm.
So there's like this internal uproar within like diversity communities, you know? And it's like that's a backfire too, because it's like you you had a good intention, but now you're all doing it to like play the game, and we all see that you're playing the game, so it's rubbing us all the wrong way. It had like an unintended effect.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we want to present ourselves as this, but like now we know that you're just spitting on our face when you do that because you don't actually believe those things.
Hmm.
You're just doing that because it's Pride Month and you have to put the friggin' rainbow flag.
Yep.
You know what I thought? All right, you know what I thought about this week too? We should really normalize not caring about everything. So
Hmm.
like what I mean by that is like, why do we all have to have an opinion on every single thing, even if it doesn't touch our lives? We're sharing an opinion now because like it's actually touching my life. And you said it doesn't really touch yours, but you've seen it in play, right?
Yep.
And these are the things we're interested in. But if you were to talk about me, like with was it the earthquake that just happened?
Hmm.
Yeah, like I didn't even know. Like this is gonna sound so insensitive, but I didn't actually even know that happened. My cousin was like in the Philippines. We were chatting. He's like, "Oh, isn't that crazy? What happened to like the people of that earthquake?" And I was like, "What?" And he like sent me some like stuff. Like, "No, this is happening right." I was like, "Oh, it didn't pop up in my newsfeed."
Hmm.
But it's like, why do I gotta care about? Like, it's bad, totally. Like, we should help solve that issue, but we have a very limited bandwidth of
But people are.
attention.
The thing is this: people are helping, right? People are sending money. The ones who get
Care
those
about that
news.
thing.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
Like,
Exactly.
right? It's like maybe if I cared about something, maybe I would send money to it. But there's very
Yeah,
rarely that happens. So
right. But it's like, but we have to care now. It's like if you don't have an opinion on that thing or you don't care about that thing, it's like you're insensitive. But
hmm
it's like we really have very limited bandwidth.
hmm
And if you want to understand an issue fully, you need more bandwidth than you have to read into it, to like look at these
yeah,
things.
exactly.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah. Like people who like share articles but just read the headline and then they didn't read the article, and when you read the article, you're like, wait, this is actually contradicting the headline,
Yeah.
you know? And but it's the bandwidth thing. It's
hmm
like, am I a good person because I shared this article, but I didn't read the article?
Right.
And then people who read the article and then comment on the person who shared that article, being like, "Wait, this doesn't add up," which is what I do because I'm a jerk like that. But like, I'll like read it, I'll be like, "Wait, actually, you know."
Yeah.
But like, you just didn't need to share it, bro. Normalize not caring about everything, right? You think we'll hit that point as well? Like,
I know what I think. This is the thing. We've never ever in any time had this much information,
yeah,
so we don't know how to deal with this. Like we're not capable of
yeah,
handling or understanding how to handle this kind of situation. Right? All these notifications all the time or whatever news updates. Like it's 24/7 actually, right? Which
yes.
we before it's like you have to read a newspaper, but it's like also before that it's like when did you have time to read a newspaper? You had to like
Yeah,
plow the lawn or whatever, plow
yeah,
the field or
facts.
whatever,
Yeah,
right? It's like you rarely get the news of what's going on.
facts. Yeah, so we're in a time of TMI,
Yeah,
and we're just adding more TMI
and we
on
it's
top of the
not
TMI.
evolutionarily like we're not built for this. Like we don't
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah,
think
no,
I think
no,
this
yeah.
is the reaction that's happening because we don't know how to deal with this amount of information coming to us daily.
100%. And I think that people don't realize in that. So like I've caught myself in that. Like we've talked about this where um knowledge levels, right? So like we're not doctors, so we can't understand things at a doctor level. But we've done research in other things like that make us more so skilled in those areas, right? Like so like philosophy and like history, whatever. But then I was thinking like everybody knows this, right? So in having this conversation being like, "Oh, you don't know this.
hmm
I thought this was common knowledge."
Yeah.
But then that's like that shows you that TMI thing. It's like they know a lot about other things, but
Right.
like that I don't know about.
hmm
So it's like how can you know it all?
Yeah.
So you can't know it all.
No. Yeah.
So just like let it go, bro. Like we don't need to care about every single thing.
hmm
We can care like on a emotional level, like yeah, that does suck for them, but like we can't we can't um we can't weigh in our opinion, without being invested somehow with like having done the research.
Right.
You can't give me an opinion if you haven't done the research.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? Which is actually I have one more funny story talking about research. So I went to like this seminar, like it was like gathering, I'll say. And then I was like, I'm genuinely like wondering how come if you look at New Zealand people, the Morai, how come they've adopted that culture and they made it a part of their society and they celebrate it, but Canada hasn't? What is it? You know?
hmm
And then because this was about like giving indigenous people like stronger rights, right? Which I'm all for, totally. Like I think it should be like New Zealand. Like we respect them, we honor their culture because they were here before us, right? But then the person was like, well, there's a lot of infighting. There's so many small groups. They can't gather as one because like whose opinion? I'm like, okay, what was your answer? And they didn't realize. So they're fighting for something, but they know the reason why it'll never work.
hmm
So why are you fighting?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But did you forethink that? Like, why are you in this argument right now?
hmm
But you know why it'll never work.
Right.
because they need to band together to make a governing body, but they will never do that
Hmm.
because there's so many small tribes.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. You know, it's like, so why'd you give yourself the headache? You know?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Confusing. And then another thing they said was like, let's also not glorify them, because I read this book about like the love letter of like the indigenous or something, and in it they talked about how they had slaves as well, and how they killed other clans, and how they, they weren't as peaceful as we believed. And I was like, yeah, if you look into history, that is what happened. So it's like, you just gave me two arguments against what you're fighting for,
Right.
which kind of cancel out what you're fighting for.
Hmm.
So why are you fighting for it again? Right?
Yeah. 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 It's a virtue signal thing. I think that's all that is. Like they think that they can solve something when you can't.
Or they want to be a part of the solution.
Apart. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But it's like, but you canceled out your belief in the solution.
Hmm.
It's like that idea of like, everyone's like, question everything.
Yeah.
Like, don't be gullible, question everything. But you also have to question your own questioning.
Hmm.
Like, why do I believe this thing? Because like when I because I knew where we were going with it, I knew where the end result was, so I was playing that game. That's why I said like, wait, can you just explain to me why? Because I'm so curious. And then they outdid their own argument, because I knew that was like,
See,
the
this is the
answer.
thing. Yeah, I think like for people like if you're doing debates and things, right? This is how you're supposed to. You're supposed to be able to argue your points, but also know the other people's points.
Exactly.
And then to
Yes.
reason why yours point is better than the other point.
That's like being like a lawyer or something.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
That's what discovery is. You both understand the evidence. You're like, okay, we're gonna play this game. We're gonna
Yeah.
see who can win, right? I also find it funny when you ask somebody, like, so I was doing this interview, but what I just did there, the questioning game, like asking them what they thought. I was asked in this interview before, like, if you encountered a racist person, how would you act?
Hmm.
Like, what would you do to like stop the situation? And I knew what they wanted to hear, right? Which is like, I would stand up for justice. I'd be like, yeah, that's so wrong. You shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. But then I was like, you want my honest opinion? And they're like, yeah. I was like, I just asked them why they think that way. And they were so shocked. And I was like, yeah, because when you just ask them, it's like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have a point. I don't know. So let me just hear your point of view. But
Right.
not in like a condescending way. Just like, I genuinely want to know your reason,
Hmm.
And then more often than not, they'll undo their own rationale. Just
Yeah.
like this person who now I hope I planted a seed, and they're questioning, why am I so entrenched in this debate
Hmm.
when I don't even believe it fundamentally?
Right.
Yeah, because it sticks more. Because you came up with it. I didn't come up with it, bro. I didn't tell you. You came up. I just asked you the question, and then you were like, "Wait, yeah, you're right. It wouldn't work because of that." Or like, "Yeah, they are killers." Like, okay, just sit with that, bro, and then ask yourself, like, "Why am I here?"
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Virtue signaling is a big
It's a big thing
thing
right
in
now.
society.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Anyways, how much time we got? I have one more, but it might be a big one. So
52 minutes.
okay, perfect. Great timing. So you said anything else about that you wanna?
No, I think it's just there's a lot of virtue signaling going on. I feel like that's
Yeah.
why like listening to the radio, it's very much the opposite side. What I'm hearing,
Okay.
a lot of. So it's like
Really? Eh?
yeah. Because generally, it's. I mean, who's listening to the radio? It's not the liberals. It's not the leftists. It's
True.
generally the right wingers.
Mm. Yeah, fair. Like, BIPOC people are more conservative. We really are. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so you were saying like there's some craziness with chat. Okay, so I want to bring up Chat GPT because we talked about it after the podcast last week, and then you were showing me some stuff and we are going through it, and it was
Yeah.
so crazy. I didn't even know this existed, but it's weird timing though.
Yeah.
It's weird timing because as soon as you showed it to me, everyone at work was on it.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, it was weird. I, I brought it to my like other team.
Oh, I think I know why.
Okay,
I think I know why. Because
okay,
things happened last week. That's what I was going to bring up.
okay. So I brought it forward to the team, and I was like, I just found out about this. This is crazy. And then they were like, oh yeah, this is blah blah blah. And then independently of that, somebody like shared like um some like Chat GPT stuff. Like oh, these are the answers from Chat GPT. And I made the joke like um I asked Chat GPT for a marketing campaign. It was so good I almost considered quitting my entire career. And they all laughed. But I was like, wait, how come we're all talking about Chat GPT now? So okay, you said there's some stuff going on right now?
So, like, I believe Bing or Microsoft
Okay.
has a deal with ChatGPT, right? So they are releasing their thing, or like it's slowly rolling out that Bing and
Okay.
ChatGPT are working together,
Okay.
where you can. So like they were showing off in their demo. I think this was like Monday, let's say.
Oh, okay. So it just hit the news cycle. Okay, it's perfect timing then
Yeah.
from when
Uh,
you showed me.
yeah,
Because it was Sunday
exactly.
when you
Yeah, it was
showed
like
me.
the
Yeah.
next day. Like I didn't even know that they had
Okay,
these
okay.
presentations coming up, and it all happened last week after I showed you the stuff.
Okay, okay.
Where the Bing was showing off, like, let's say you'd have a normal search like you normally have, and alongside that you have ChatGPT if you want to go more precise or find out more information, right? And you can be like even for like other kind of documents, like pull up Gap's quarterly income. Like
Oh wow.
you got a whole page, right? It's like just summarize this for me,
Oh, no
and
way.
it just
And then
summarized it, and then
wow.
compared that to like another company.
Yeah. Oh
S-
my.
So
Wow.
so Google, like this is an actual threat to Google.
Because like you don't even need to critically think anymore. Like like you need
Yeah,
the
you don't.
knowledge experts. You got to send it to somebody, and then you're like, decode this for me.
Hmm.
Like you send it to like finance person.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
So like this is an actual threat to Google because nobody has had an actual competition against Google search.
Okay.
And so Google then I think they quickly try to do set up they set up a presentation the next day, like Tuesday or something like that.
Okay.
Um for they had a presentation on some other like Google things that they were doing, and then they showed a quick thing about something called Brad. I think that's their version of ChatGPT
Okay.
or something similar. But then they did the presentation, and then later that presentation, someone found out that it had some misinformation. Like whatever they asked it was not the correct information
Wait.
in their
Chat GPT,
presentation.
Chat GPT had.
No. Google's.
Oh, Google's one. Okay, yeah.
Google's Brad. I think they call it Brad. I don't remember what it was exactly. So Google's version of ChatGPT.
Okay, yeah.
They showed off a demonstration of something like, and like later that day they found out that that information was not as incorrect information. Like the result of it was incorrect.
Interesting.
So
So there's some
it
nefariousness
so
going on.
not nefarious. It just wasn't ready for the public.
Oh, okay. I
So
thought like
it
Google was skewing things. I was like, that's funny.
no. It's just like it wasn't ready for the public, right? So then it dropped its stock
Oh,
when
no
that happened,
way.
and that because that information came out that this is the wrong information that it popped out. And then I think a couple of days later they had a presentation somewhere else, and they were doing something, and then a demo unit was supposed to be they were going to show it on a demo unit, and the demo unit was missing. So again, they're like
Missing or like
I don't know, it just
actually
wasn't on
missing? You know what I
stage.
mean?
Like it was like
Oh, that's
one of
weird.
the biggest blunders that they've had recently in tech
Oh,
world.
wow. Okay.
Like the girl was like, "Oh, it's we don't have the device here was missing." It's just like trying to laugh it
Wow.
off, and then it tried to like go on with it. But it's like that. It's just like a blunder for Google all last week,
So,
and that
so Google's been losing money?
in their stock value. I'm sure it'll go
Wow.
back up, but it's like there's a reaction coming from Google knowing that there's an actual competition against them now. Because
Right. Yeah.
their
Yeah.
main revenue is search,
Yep. Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
60,
Google Ads.
70%. Yeah, it's all exactly. It's all from search. So
Yeah.
now, like the way that like the Microsoft CEO was like, we're just growing. All all that Bing and ChatGPT is going to add to it is we're just going to grow even more, right?
Right.
Like,
Wow.
so there's so now there's an actual legitimate competition against Google search.
So okay, so let's just get the timeline down. Somebody created ChatGPT,
So ChatGPT
which
is
is
created by OpenAI.
OpenAI. Yeah. So OpenAI created ChatGPT, and then Bing
Bing,
was-
Microsoft's search, right? They're working
realized
with,
like
yeah, yeah.
okay, we can capitalize on this, so we're gonna buy it. So they
Uh, I,
integrated
I
it into
don't know if they're
their
like buying it or it's something like that. Yeah, they
like
have a
licensing
contract
the
with them,
software.
licensing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, and then Google was like, wait a minute, we're a threat from Bing now.
We have it. Yeah,
So they tried to create their own, but then it wasn't up to par.
it's not ready. Yeah, it's not ready
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
public. But they had to react. They
Oh,
had to react to show
interesting.
that they had something.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what they
yeah.
had wasn't perfect.
But I couldn't see everyone switching to Bing though. Like off of Google.
Hmm.
Because although it does seem scary, too many people have like Google ads going. It's like with Facebook, right? So like everybody or Meta now, everybody thought like, oh yeah, people are like not joining for Meta, but we're still using Meta ads.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think because marketing it just takes forever for like innovation because people like to do things the same way even if they're not working essentially.
Yep.
That's not how I like to do it, but I've noticed people do that.
Hmm.
And I don't know if like it is a threat, but I don't know if people will just up and leave Google.
It's not like that.
You know?
It's I feel like
Like
it's
what kind of threat are we talking about here?
like an actual threat in the sense that there's actual competition where it may potentially become. Let's just say like Bing owns only like 10% right now of search.
Huh.
Like that, they're nothing but they're going to grow, maybe thirty
Oh,
percent.
okay. So like, and they're
So
like, oh, we
there's
don't want them to hit 30. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like that.
Interesting. I'd have to see how this whole integration works later on because
It's only the beginning right now, right? So it's very interesting to
yeah, yeah,
see
yeah.
that. It's very interesting to see like how like Google views it as a threat,
Yeah, yeah, totally, yeah.
right? So they know
But I
that something
mean,
is coming.
but
They
I
know
mean,
that.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, are they just like jumping on the bandwagon super early? Sort of like how, like Meta was afraid of TikTok, so they just created Reels.
Hmm.
It's sort of like that. It's like, but is this the wave of the future? It's like, are you just getting scared over nothing, or is this a
It could be that. It
legitimate
could be
threat?
that. We don't know, right?
Because like with
Like
the
how much?
metaverse,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like how
you know what I mean? We're
much
like, oh, it's
is?
gonna happen.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like how
Very
much
strange.
they? I mean, they have to react because it's just it's all like stock values. If you're only looking at stock value wise, right?
Just to play the game, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I think
yeah.
like long term legitimacy wise, I don't see.
Like it's just a way for like here Microsoft is coming with the Bing with licensing with ChatGPT. All that is for Microsoft is they're just going to grow.
Yeah, no, totally. But like, to what point? Because consumers are so used to using Google, it's like, can they make the switch?
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's why they have a
Right.
reaction to it, right? Like they have their own or they're working on their own version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So it's all good for us in the sense as consumers, right? If both of them are good, we're getting like there's an here you have something like everyone's trying to one up each other.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, yeah,
It's
for
just
sure, for
all
sure.
better for consumers.
Like they're even like so I'm not as afraid of like I'm not as strong with privacy as most other people are, like privacy online. And I don't care if I use Google. So it's like, yeah, sure,
Hmm.
you can have the information, right? But like, people like I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast and they're like, oh, pull it up on DuckDuckGo because it's more safer. But it's like, yeah, but how many people are using DuckDuckGo? You know what I'm saying? It's like that's like a very niche thing. Like
Yeah,
I feel
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Bing and ChatGPT, it's like a very niche thing. Like who's really going to convert? Maybe like 100 years from now when people like die off and like habits change, sure. But I don't know, trying to get people to do something totally different than what they've been doing is really tough.
Oh yeah. No.
You know,
Yeah.
I was trying to think of it like competitor wise. I'm like, is this a legitimate threat or not really? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. But they are reacting like it is.
Wait, you know what's crazy? How people who grow up now will think. So I was like, when we were talking about Chat GPT, I was like, oh, it's like kind of freaking me out. I don't want to use it. You know,
Mhm.
like if that's my mindset.
Yeah.
But what about kids who are born now and they're like, yeah, Chat GPT is normal.
Yeah.
So then you're integrating AI stuff with that new generation and they have no worries about it.
Yeah.
Because to them, like privacy was not an issue. Like who cares? To
Yeah. They
them.
grow up with social media, right? So
Yeah.
of course.
That's
AI
such
is
a
just like they'll like anyone being born now is just AI is just part of the world.
more efficient. Yeah, it's like
Yes.
AI is like the most efficient tool we're using. Like, why would
Yeah.
you not use AI?
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird to think about because it's like, are we in that zone now of like, are we that old? You know what I'm saying? That like we see this as an issue
I don't see this as an issue. Like I can see the
yet.
benefits of how I can use it.
Yeah, but no, I understand that. Like, you're on TikTok
Yeah.
and you're cool with ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have like more secure privacy browsing stuff. So it's like you're progressive in some, but also like more secure in others. And then you know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm the same way, but with opposite platforms.
Yeah.
So, because like I don't want to use TikTok or ChatGPT because I feel those are like weird. Because like the terms of service for TikTok, I was like, what? You can like read all my stuff. Like, seems kind of weird, but like I'm cool with like Facebook, Instagram, and stuff. So it's like, although you would say that it's not the time that we're living in. Like what I'm trying to say is, I think we're of a different era of where we're more cautious, whereas I don't think other people are as cautious
Yeah. No,
going forward.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like we're just not of this era
Mm-hmm.
anymore of like caution. Because although you're like, oh, I'm not that cautious, like yeah, you'll
I'm talking
use
about
like
like I think
TikTok and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, I think there's benefits like I see where I could use these like Chat GPT, like where it could help make
right, for sure.
life
Yeah,
be
yeah,
more
yeah.
efficient.
Yeah, right. But even at the detriment of like it analyzing a lot of information about you,
But it's not
you
information
don't mind
about
that.
me though, right? It's
No, but it is about
information.
you though. Like what you search, well, it'll generate a specific AI custom tailored to you.
No. I don't use it like in the sense of search. I'm saying like getting information, like summarizing something, or like I'm saying like in that
No, but
sense.
no, for sure. But it'll still understand your behaviors.
Yeah, which I mean
It's like,
already. Yeah, but that's what Google search is doing anyways, right?
yeah, no, totally, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But that's why. No, but you're not seeing it as gathering information on you,
No.
but it is. What I'm saying is it is
No.
because
I know. It's what I'm saying is like it does the same thing like Google.
uh, but more sophisticated than Google. It's not the same. It's
Yeah.
like no,
Sure.
but like the algorithm of TikTok is way better than the algorithm of Reels.
Hmm.
Like we know this like industry standard wise. Like it's
Yeah.
way better at feeding you stuff that you're interested in
Hmm.
than Instagram. So it's like
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, it's not really pulling information, but it is. It's tailoring it to you.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. No, I'm not
Like, you know what I'm
saying
saying?
like I view it like how whatever I'm searching on Google or this. But like if I'm going more
Right.
specific, want to get more answers, like those are kind of like searches too, right?
Right. But what you search shows your pattern of behavior. And that's what they're gathering. What I'm saying is they're gathering your
Hmm.
behavior patterns. They're gathering everyone's behavior patterns.
Yeah. Everything's
Right.
data. Yeah. True.
Right. But it's not like when I speak about privacy, I don't mean like you're gonna know my search history. It's not like that. It's more like you're gonna know so much about me that you can guess what I'm gonna do before I even do it.
Hmm.
Right. and that's the information it's gathering. Not what you're into. Well, it is gathering what you're into, but it doesn't really care about what you're into. It's about like, can I predict your behavior? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
Because if I can predict your behavior, I can put a product in front of you that I know you'll purchase,
Hmm.
right?
But I view it more like I don't know in my normal life how I'd use it. I view it like how I'm going to use it for work.
But what about TikTok?
But TikTok is just the only normal. Like
That's what I mean. That's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So it's like
I'm saying for like
these things are
ChatGPT,
right. No, but I'm saying
like for
as a
productivity
whole.
wise. Yeah.
No, totally. But as a whole, I'm saying all of the information that we're like giving over, it's like it's what I'm saying is like I'm I don't think you and I are not in the generation of have all my information.
Right.
You know, like even though we'd like to think we are,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're of a different time where it's still a little weird to have all my information. Even though it's like yeah, I'm not afraid of this, but you're afraid of this other thing. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even though we like to think we're not afraid of our information being gathered, we do it in other ways. It's not universal. Like we just don't not care.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I
I
think the new
forgot.
generation
I was
doesn't care.
seeing something. I don't remember. I forgot which company it was. That like another thing of their revenue with like I think it was with ads and stuff is being affected because of Apple's thing now. Apple's
Oh
privacy
yeah,
stuff.
totally, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Because it can't get as much data on you as
Mm-hmm.
before.
That's like I forgot which company it was that's affecting it. That's why they're like they'd have to find new products or new ways to attract people to their sites, I guess.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, that's why you have more sophisticated search engines or like advertising platforms that. So there are these platforms out there. I've like seen them and used them where they collect. You can put in like multiple channels. So like if you have Facebook, Instagram, um, like Google, Gmail, whatever, you can put all these together and then it actually consolidates and then gives you a profile of your person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we think that these things are all working independently, but they're actually working in concert with one another to create a profile. Like
Right. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like making me think of uh Westworld.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Remember when the guy from Breaking Bad, like he couldn't get a job and he's like, why can't I get a job? And then they predicted, like the giant AI system like predicted that he would commit suicide and that's
Right.
why they're like, nobody will hire you because like
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years you'll just die anyways or something like
Right.
that. So I feel like we could be, that's what freaks me out about like
Mm-hmm.
the information thing, like knowing too much of people's behaviors because then you start lumping them in different categories. Like this person is a threat. Don't give them this.
Right.
Yeah. And like that literally could be where we're headed with all this information stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe not us now, but like let's say 10 years from now, that next generation will have to think about like everything. Like they almost have to accept that their life is being pulled by strings almost.
Right.
Because like imagine this. I apply for a job with my resume, but it's my resume is linked to my email. And that email is linked to my digital profile. And then they de-rank me on the resume reading. They're like, okay, 1,000 people applied to this. We'll put them 999th.
Right.
So you have to go through all those just to read my one resume. That's
Mm-hmm.
how it could work in the
Yeah.
future, you know, to like de-rank people and
Mm-hmm.
like make more obstacles from them getting jobs.
Right.
Freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I see the whole AI thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not worried at all? Like you?
I just don't see it right now. So
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think the other thing, because you're like, I just don't see it right now, is I think because I'm in marketing and like working with these platforms freaks the hell out of me.
right.
I'm just gonna name two of them, just like if people want to know. Google Meltwater and Cision. Those are PR platforms, and you can like. So like, if I'm looking for an influencer to be like, hey, I want to make this guy a part of my company, right? You can plug that person's info in, and then it gives you a whole list of other people that are related to that network that are similar to that one person, which is kind of freaky. It's like, how much information do you know about me or about everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, creepy. Anyways, yeah, where are you at? I got like 2 phone calls in the middle of this thing, and I was like, oh crap.
Hour 14.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, anything else you want to bring up? Those were my 3 main topics.
No, that was it. I don't think I had anything else about that. Just interesting to see how Google's reacting.
Yeah, true.
Because they've been,
I don't know if it's.
they've never
I
had.
don't know if it's a threat.
Right, but they're viewing it as a threat, right? It's
proactively, yeah.
But which is interesting because they never had anything for like since the time of search.
That's true. Yeah, remember when it was Yahoo?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember everyone was using Yahoo?
Yeah.
Google was like so innovative, and then Google became like a verb, just like Google it.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip. Anyways, are you gonna watch the Super Bowl? Are you into that? You were into that.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll watch a little bit, but I don't know who's playing, so I'll find out today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, usually you're like you like watch it, you know? You like watch the whole.
No, I watch it. Yeah. But I'm not like I don't know who's playing. I don't know who are the actual who are the two teams. I'll find out when I watch it.
Wait, do you think that whole thing I said about like martial arts being the great equalizer, maybe like sport is the great equalizer? Because I don't know if they think about race and religion for football too, or basketball.
No, I don't think so. I think sport is much more. It's all about merit based, like how well, like because if you look at like all those people that actually know this stuff, they're like, oh, his catching percentage is this, or his thing is this. It's more about their merit than their.
It's not like his catching percentage. Plus, he's a cisgender, so they don't do that. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Anyways, all right, cool. Until next time, take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.